In this video, I will be going over my pure CRYSTRON deck, talk about some deck building decisions, and look at some combos. And when I say some, there's quite a few of them. The screen you're looking at right now is from my new CRYSTRON website, and it has card explanations, as you can see over here. We have deck profiles, we have different versions, and we also have a combo player, as you can see right here. It takes a bit of time to load because, you know, it's a really nice built-in replay player that is in my website. Yes, as you can see, you can click any of these replays and it will play the replay. Isn't that so cool? It's like, I spent so much time on it. I'm so proud of this. I've spent way too much time on this. It looks so cool. It just goes on its own. You can click on different replays and it plays a different one. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Anyway, the deck we're going to look at today is going to be this one, Pure CRYSTRONs with Regulus, which I think is better than the version without Regulus. So with that said, let's head on over to Omega. So here's the full deck list. It's obvious that CRYSTRONs are really good at spamming level 5 machine monsters, and people usually make them use them to make Cyber Dragon Infinity, which is a really strong card. It's an omni-negate, but alternatively, you can use Infinitrack with Riverstormer as a way to search Regulus, which is also a negate. So what's the difference? Infinity destroys the negated card, so it's a better form of negate, and Regulus doesn't, and also has a really good monster removal effect on top of that. It attaches a monster to it as material. But Riverstormer is a free card on the field to pop after you use it to search Regulus, so not only do some of your combos get really better, you can also use Regulus super early on in a combo and have a negate up on your field before you commit to risk key parts of your combo. For example, Tristaros has a Graveyard effect that is really strong. It can banish itself, pop a Synchro monster, and then summon 2 CRYSTRONs from deck. But this also means it's a super vulnerable choke point for specifically Ash Blossom, and if your opponent is smart about it, they can keep the Ash for this effect, and it has a huge impact to your end board. Well, that will not happen if you have a Regulus on your field. So usually in combos that involve Regulus, you can make a very early Regulus before you make before you use the effect of the Tristaros on in your graveyard, so that even if your opponent has the Ash Blossom kept in their hand, you can negate that with your Regulus. I mean, in some specific hands, you could make Infinity pretty early on, but Regulus is a lot more easy to make. You can pretty much make this guy in every single combo, including one-card combos, before you use high-risk effects like Tristaro's Graveyard effect. And also, if you go second, Riverstormer and Regulus are like really big guys. Riverstormer has 25 and Regulus has 28, so you know, you can just punch with them. They can do enough damage for lethal so that you don't have to play stuff like High Speed Roid Chanbara. You also don't need to play stuff like Macabre or Samurai Destroyer as ways to play around Nib, because you can just negate the Nib with an early Regulus. So both Infinity and Regulus have their own merits, so here's a big question. Which one do you play? Well, I mean, nothing is stopping you from playing both. You can make either one depending on the situation, but in some cases you can make both negates, and that is pretty strong. We're also playing the Terratop engine, which some people are playing, some people are not. I think it's pretty good. It doesn't use your normal summon, so if anything goes wrong, you can use your normal summon to keep comboing. And it also allows you to make a pretty early SP Little Knight if you go second to threaten interruption and help you push through established boards. So with that said, let's have a look at some replays. Okay, so the first part of the combo section of this video will be combos that have Regulus in your deck. And the second part will be those that don't have Regulus in your deck. So if you don't want to play Regulus, you can watch the later part of this video for combos that don't involve Riverstormer or Regulus in your deck. So here is the standard 1-card combo with CRYSTRON inclusion, probably your strongest 1-card combo that you have in your deck. I'm going to use it to search Sulfador. Sulfador will be sending a copy of Fistfern and Sulfefnir. We're going to make a very early Regulus with this. And then we're going to search a copy of Turtle. This will be a very standard part of your combo. You will be normal summoning your Turtle to pop the Riverstormer. to get a Tristaros, and then make a Quandax, and then you can pop the Quandax with your Graveyard effect of the Tristaros to get 2 guys on the field, and then Quandax will also be able to revive another monster. And then we can just set a copy of our trap along with a bunch of tuners on the field. In our opponent's turn, let's see what we can do. So we can make Satellite Warrior to pop stuff, we can use the Citri to make a Dawn Dragster, and this is a Spell Trap Negate, the Regulus is an Omni Negate, and the Cluster is pop as well. So that is quite a bit of interruptions. The Satellite Warrior can actually pop 4 cards, which is actually really strong. I think that you should be playing this card if you have the extra deck space to play it. So yeah, this is going to be what CRYSTRONs are typically able to do in your opponent's turn. I won't be repeating this for every single combo because there's a bunch of combos I have to go through. So you get the idea of what this deck can make using the tuners on the field after the end of your turn. Okay, so this is the combo with Smiger. It's less good than Inclusion, but it is still a 1-card combo. It loses to a lot more. It loses to draw, loses to anything that stops you from having the Smiger in the graveyard. But it's still technically a 1-card combo. And if your opponent doesn't have any interruptions, it's still a lot of interruptions. We're gonna go and get the Regulus again. A pretty standard part of the combo, but because we have Clockwork Knight, we can use it to tribute the Xyz to get the turtle that way. And then we're going to do pretty much the exact same thing as the last combo, but we're going to go ahead and get the Salvador on our field instead. And that means we can't have access to the trap, but we still have access to the Omni Negate and 3 tuners on the field, which is still pretty nice. As I said in the intro, Terratop is a pretty good 1-card combo, and you'll be able to see it right now. I'm gonna go Terratop, grab Taki Tomborg, I'm gonna make Cherubini, and it actually sends for cost, which is pretty interesting. I'm gonna go and grab Inclusion grab a copy of Salvador, and if you use Cherubini, remember to not have CRYSTRONs under the arrows if you want to pop it, because Cherubini doesn't let you pop monsters that it points to. So if you make any of the Synchro monsters, don't put it under the arrows. Anyway, we're gonna pretty much do the exact same thing we did for the Smigo combo, except we actually have our Cherubini on our field as well to protect our stuff. We don't have the trap unfortunately, but we have protection from the Link too. The 1 copy of Foolish Burial in our deck is also full combo. We can use it to send Smiger, and then it's pretty much like Terratop, but you don't have to play bricks, but you can only play 1 copy of Foolish Burial. And Foolish Burial is also nicer against Nib, because if you do Terratop, you have 3 summons before you even get to your CRYSTRON part of your deck. So it's a little bit worse against Nib, but it's not too big of a deal anyway. We'll do pretty much the exact same thing as the Terratop combo, except we don't have the Cherubini on our field, which sucks a bit, but it's fine. So as you can see, it's pretty much the exact same end board with Tristaros, Citri, and Quandax. If you do the Infinity version of the combo, you can get to the trap as well, but you also don't get the very early Regulus that can insulate your risky parts of the combo. So like your opponent can ash your Tristaros, and then you can end on pretty much nothing. So I still prefer this version of the combo, even if you don't get the trap and you don't have Infinity, because it's just generally safer than going for Cyber Dragon Infinity. Okay, the next combo is Sulfefnir plus anything. We have Tristaros in this example. It could be any CRYSTRON. We're gonna go and Sulfefnir make a Salvador, and because the Salvador is summoned by the Sulfefnir and not its own effect, we're not locked into machines yet, but I mean that doesn't really matter too much if we're going first. But if you're going second, you can use the Salvador to make an SP because you're not locked yet. Anyway, we're gonna go directly into a Skeltus instead of making the trying to make Infinity and stuff like that. can also end on a copy of FA Dawn Dragster along with the 2 Shooters on the field, and that is a pretty good end board. We have 1 Omni Negate, we have 1 Spell Trap Negate, 2 Shooters that can either make another Dawn Dragster and then make stuff like a copy of Corian Gandrax, and you also have the trap as well, which can pop at least 1 monster. If you make a Quarion, you can also pop 2 as well. So yeah, that's pretty impressive as a 1.5 card combo. Like Sulfefnir, Sulfador is also kind of a 1 card combo. It also needs another CRYSTRON, but it needs to be a monster because you have to normal summon that CRYSTRON. And it's a lot less good than the Sulfefnir combo, but it's still combo, so, you know, you can still do stuff with it. Again, we're going to make a really early Regulus before we do any of our synchro summoning. Again, using the turtle to pop the Xyz, and then making a Quandax, popping the Quandax to summon 2 from deck, and then summon the Salvador from our graveyard. We're going to make the LS Geltus, and grab back anything. And then we could end on a Citri, a Rosenix, and a Quandax. So these 2 can make XL Synchro Stardust Dragon, and then make a Satellite Warrior. These can make a Dawn Dragster, which is a Spell Trap Negate, and then this is an Omni Negate. So that's 3 interruptions. But the Satellite Warrior is pretty much a board wipe, so that's pretty good. Okay, now let's actually look at some 2 card combos. We have Sulfefnir plus Sulfador. And these 2 cards are really strong. They're both level 5, which means you can make a very early, not only early Regulus, but also early Infinity as well. We're going to do just that. We're going to make a very early Infinity. It's a lot better than an early Regulus, because if you negate something like a Nibiru, it actually destroys a Nibiru, and also you keep the negate for next turn. In fact, we can make both of them. We can have both Regulus and Infinity on the field, and then we can also end on a Tristaros, a free Rosenix, and a trap as well. And this is pretty good against certain decks that loses a lot to Omni Negates, because we can make Spell Trap Negates pretty easily. I mean, we have Dawn Dragster that we could make as a Synchro monster, but if we need more monster negates, this is the way to go. We have both Infinity and Regulus as ways to negate monster effects. So you might have noticed that the previous combo loses to Valor, because you're summoning another copy of Salvador from the deck, and then relying on its effect to actually resolve. If your opponent negates that with an Imperm or a Valor, you end on nothing. So in this version of the combo, we are opening with the exact 2 same cards, but we are actually going to play around Valor. So let's see what we are going to do. We're going to again use the Sulfefnir to pop itself, but this time we're going to get a Smiger instead. We're going to go and use Salvador effect from the graveyard to pop the Smiger, and if your opponent has Valor and they use it on the Salvador, it's fine, because we have the Smiger in the graveyard, which can search the inclusion from our deck, and then that searches anything. And then we haven't used our normal summon yet, so we can just normal summon Tristaros and then make a Synchro 7 and then combo from there. But if the Salvador resolves, we can send the inclusion instead of searching with Smiger, and then the Smiger can instead search for the trap. Anyway, we're gonna go and inclusion summon a Sulfefnir. We're gonna make the Regulus, so if they have Valor, it's too late. If they negate the River Storm, it's fine. You just do the rest of the combo without the Regulus on the field. We're gonna do the Quandax combo again. You've seen this combo a lot of times. We do it pretty much every time we make Regulus in any of our combos. I'm gonna summon a bunch of guys on our field, grab the trap with the Smiger before we end our turn, and then we're gonna end our turn with Regulus, Citri, Quandax, and the trap, which is still really good, even if we play slightly lower to the ground to play around stuff like Valor. Okay, this is another 2-card combo. This time we have inclusion. So this card can be Sulfefnir or Salvador. You just search whichever one you're missing. And again, we have 2 versions of this combo. One that has a higher ceiling but loses to Valor, and one that has a lower ceiling that plays around Valor. And this is the higher ceiling one. We can make a very early Infinity. The higher ceiling one is actually better against Nibiru, because, you know, Infinity is better against Nibiru. but it works against Valor, so you will have to decide which version of the combo you're actually going to do, depending on what you think your opponent has. So we're going to end on the same end board as the previous combo, the previous high ceiling version of the combo. We'd have 2 Omni Negates and Tristaros, and a trap on our field as well. Okay, so this is the version of the combo that doesn't lose to Valor. We're going to go ahead and use Inclusion once again to grab whichever one we're missing. We're going to go Sulfefnir, this time we're going to get Fist Burn. We're going to go and use the Sulfador effect to send both a copy of Road Snakes and a Tristaros. And again, if you put in Valor's this, it's fine because you have the Fist Burn on your field. You just use it to pop itself and then grab a Tristaros from your deck, and then you can Synchro Summon El Skelters and then banish the Tristaros from the graveyard, pop the Synchro, the standard combo. Anyway, if it resolves, we can make a very early Infinity as well. So unlike the last Valor-proof combo, we can actually still make Infinity, but we can't make both Infinity and Regulus. Anyway, we're actually not going to make Quandax this time. We're just going to directly make the Elaskeltus and combo from them. Actually, screw that. We're still making Regulus. We're gonna make Regulus and equip the Sulfefnir, and we're gonna summon the Tristaros from our deck. So this is only 3 interruptions. If you don't go for Regulus, it's actually more interruptions, but depending on what deck you're facing, you might want more monster negates. So this might be the end board you want to go for if your opponent has a deck that has more monster effects that you want to negate. In later combos in the Infinity part of the video, I will have a combo that also starts with Inclusion and Sulfefnir or Sulfador, and doesn't also make Regulus. We have Infinity and a bunch of tuners, and a trap as well. So that version has more interruptions, but we only have 1 Omnigate instead of 2. So keep that in mind. You still want to know both combos so that you can choose between the 2 of them depending on what matchup you face against. So that's it for all of the going first Regulus combos that I will be showing today. But before we go and have a look at the Cyber Dragon Infinity versions of the combo, let's have a look at some going second combos. As you can see, 1 Inclusion in our hand can actually do a lot of damage because of how, Infinity... Infinitrack, Riverstormer, and Regulus both have a lot of attack. So let's see what we can put out with just 1 Inclusion. We're gonna go and grab Sulfador. Sulfador, we're gonna send 2 cards, 1 Fistfern and 1 Sulfefnir. We're gonna go and put the Riverstormer in attack position because we intend to attack with it. We're going to grab the turtle, and this time we're actually gonna pop the Sulfefnir. And because we destroyed Sulfefnir by a card effect, this will actually trigger the Sulfefnir that we just popped, and that allows us to summon a monster from our deck. And as you can see, this is actually quite a bit of damage. It's 10,900 damage to be exact. And the cool part about this is that even if you use the Regulus Negate on something and send itself to the graveyard, just using Riverstormer, Elaskelters, and Quarian Gandrax, that is still 8,100 attack. As you can see, we didn't even attack with Regulus, and that's still enough damage to go for lethal. Here is another example of what a CRYSTRON combo can do to OTK opponent. This time we're gonna do a line using Sulfefnir and any CRYSTRON card. We're gonna go ahead and use a Stormer again to grab a Regulus. Regulus this time equipping any CRYSTRON that you sent with the Sulfefnir. And then we're gonna go directly making an Elaskeltus, and then summoning 2 from deck. Elaskeltus can actually revive itself, which is pretty funny. And we can go and Inclusion grab a Smiger, and summon the Smiger from my hand using the Graveyard effect of the turtle. And then attack again for 10,900 damage, or 8,100 if we use the Regulus as a negate. Before we continue on with the combos, you might be able to notice, if you are actually paying attention, that Regulus equipping Sulfefnir actually will let you trigger the effect of Sulfefnir if you pop the Sulfefnir with a CRYSTRON effect. So if you, for example, if you go Regulus, equip Sulfefnir, and then use something like a Parasortal to pop the Sulfefnir, this will trigger the effect of Sulfefnir to summon one from deck. And that is actually useful in some situations, but we will not be doing this interaction in most of our combos. It's not because I forgot or anything, it's because this interaction actually loses to Valor or Infinite Impermanence, because of Yu-Gi-Oh! Rulings that says if, you know, Regulus or anything similar to Regulus equips a monster to your monster, and that monster gets negated, that equip spell, or you know, the monster that is treated as an equip spell, will get destroyed. And that destruction is not a card effect, but it's kind of like a game mechanic that destroys the monster. So if you read Sulfefnir, it says if this card on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, it doesn't just say destroyed : it says by battle or card effect. So if it gets destroyed as an equip spell by game mechanics, it will not trigger the float. So what this means is, for example, you have a Regulus on your field, you equip it, you equip a Sulfefnir to it, and then you try to pop the Sulfefnir with a Parasortal. And your opponent chains Infinite Impermanence because they're 5-head, they kept the Imperm for this interaction, and they know about this ruling. So they try to chain Imperm on your Regulus. They don't negate the turtle, they actually target the Regulus. You have two options here. You either negate the Imperm by sending Regulus to the graveyard, which, you know, that destroys the equip spell, and then now because the target left the field, the turtle's effect will resolve without effect because the target left the field. So you don't get the tuner from your deck, so your combo pretty much stops right there. Or you let the Imperm resolve, which also destroys the equipped monster, which I talked about. So Sulfefnir gets sent to the graveyard anyway, and then you still lose your target for your Parasortal, and then the effect resolves without effect again. So you still don't get your tuner from your deck. So regardless of if you negate the Imperm, you not only lose the ability to, you know, negate a hand trap with Regulus, you also 100% of the time don't get the tuner from your deck, which stops your combo. So you might be able to notice that every time we do the Regulus combos, we always pop the River Stormer, because if your opponent tries to negate the Parasortal, he can just negate with Regulus, and a Parasortal will still resolve because it targets the River Stormer, and you know, the River Stormer is still on the field, so the CRYSTRONs will resolve. So that's why, in case you're wondering, I myself wondered this when I was studying the combos. People in the CRYSTRON Discord helped me out with that. So yeah, with that said, let's have a look at some other combos that don't involve Regulus being in your deck. So our first combo will be starting with Inclusion. And as you will be able to notice, in all of these Infinity combos, we lose quite heavily if our opponent tries to Ash Blossom the graveyard effect of Tristaris, for example, or other stuff like Nibiru also hurts a bit more than if we were to go for Regulus. You can still go and make the Samurai Destroyer or make Makaba if you have them in your extra deck, but it still hurts a bit more compared to if you have the Regulus on your field. And also in some combos, your end board is a bit worse, but in the case of Inclusion, it's still pretty good. We're gonna go ahead and Inclusion grab Salvador, and we're gonna send both a Fistburn and a Sulfefnir. We're gonna normal summon the Tristaros, make the level 7 Synchro, pop it with the Tristaros, and then summon 2 from deck. And then Elaskeltus can summon back the Tristaros, and let's make a Cyber Dragon Infinity before we continue on with our combo. We can go and Rose next pop the Smiger, and then banish the Smiger for the trap. And yeah, the end board is 1 Infinity, which is an Omni. We have Citri, Tristaros, which can make 2 Synchros, and Cluster, which is a pop. Okay, our second one-card combo, we have CRYSTRON Smiger, and we're gonna go link it off for Clockwork Knight, and then get Inclusion grab Sulfador summon itself. This time we're gonna send both Cluster and Tristaros. And we can go and use Eleskeltis to actually grab back the Cluster. That is a pretty good way to play around stuff like Droll as well, because it doesn't actually technically search from your deck. It's sending it from the deck using the effect of Sulfador and then grabbing it from your graveyard using the Synchro. So even though we don't actually have Infinity on our field, it's still pretty much the same amount of interruptions. It's still one negate, even though it's not an Omni, it's a Spell Trap negate, but it's still negate. We have Tristaros, we have Citri, and a Trap on our field as well. So that's still pretty nice for a one-card combo. Next, let's have a look at the Terratop combo. I'm gonna go Terratop, grab Taki Tomborg. Gonna special summon the Taki Tomborg, make Cherubini. I'm gonna send it Smiger, grab Inclusion, grab Salvador. You've all seen this before. Salvador summon itself. This time we're gonna send Fistburn and the Trap because we already used the Smiger effect, so we can't send another Smiger. Instead, we're gonna do the same play that we did in the last combo to grab it to our hand using the effect of Eleskeltis. And then, because the Terratop engine doesn't use a normal summon, you can grab the Tristaros using the Fistburn to search it and then normal summoning it. So this is the same end board as the Inclusion end board, but you don't have to draw Inclusion. If you open with Foolish Burial, it's also a pretty similar combo. We're gonna go Foolish Burial, send a copy of Smiger. Smiger will grab an Inclusion grab a copy of Salvador. Salvador will pop the spell. We're gonna send again Cluster and Fistburn. And Fistburn will grab us the Tristaros, normal summon Tristaros, grab back the Trap, pop the Synchro, summon 2 from deck, summon back the banished Tristaros, summon one from grave. We're gonna make the Infinity. We're gonna pop the Rose Sticks itself because we don't have another card for us to pop. So we're gonna end on a slightly less good end board, but it's still 4 interruptions. It's still Infinity, and you can make 2 Dawn Dragsters with these 2 tuners. So we have a bit more 2-card combos compared to the Regulus version, because if you draw stuff like Inclusion plus a random CRYSTRON, you can do a bit more than if you only opened with Inclusion. So in this example, we have 2 Inclusions because, you know, it's a hard once per turn, so the other Inclusion is dead. But just by it being a CRYSTRON, we can improve our combos a bit by using it as a discard for Sulfefnir. So we're gonna grab Sulfefnir, pitch the useless CRYSTRON. We're gonna go and make Salvador. Salvador will send a Smiger and a Fistburn. Fistburn, grab ourselves a Tristaros, normal summon the Tristaros. And then the slightly better part compared to the regular combo is that before we use the Graveyard effect of Tristaros, we can actually make the Infinity first. So before they, if they keep the Ash, we can still negate with Infinity in this specific version of the combo. And then we can set our Trap, and this time we have 2 Tristaros and 1 Citri. Even though Tristaros is a hard once per turn, you can use 2 Tristaros plus 1 level 5 from your deck to make Corian Gandrax. So that's why we're still having 2 Tristaros on the field, even though you can only use 1 of them per turn. So this is a combo if you draw Smiger plus any CRYSTRON. Again, in this example, we have another copy of Smiger. We can go ahead and Inclusion search. We're not actually gonna search Sulfefnir, we're gonna search Salvador because if we search Sulfefnir with the Inclusion, that doesn't actually do too much to improve our combo because we actually want to pop our Inclusion as soon as possible. So that's why we're grabbing the Salvador to pop the Inclusion before we send the Sulfefnir using the effect of the Salvador. As you can see, compared to the regular Smiger combo, we actually have access to Infinity, which is good. It's pretty good. And also we have everything else as well. 1 Citri, 1 Tristaros, 1 Cluster, and the Rose Sticks as a synchro material. Okay, we will have a look at a Sulfefnir combo. Sulfefnir plus anything else will do it. Sulfefnir, we're gonna grab a Smiger. This plays around Veiler a bit better. We're gonna go and grab Inclusion, grab a copy of Salvador, And in this moment, if your opponent Valors you, that's the only thing that your opponent can actually Valor. You don't actually get access to your entire combo, but you still have access to at least one infinity, because you have the inclusion in your graveyard. You can banish it and summon back the Sulfefnir. This CRYSTRON is supposed to be any CRYSTRON, so if you have CRYSTRON in your graveyard, of course you can revive the CRYSTRON and do your combo, but this is supposed to be anything, so even if it's not CRYSTRON, you can still banish the inclusion, summon the Sulfefnir, and then make at least one infinity before you end your turn. But of course, if your opponent doesn't have anything, you can keep comboing. We're gonna grab the CRYSTRON, noble summon the CRYSTRON, and go and grab back the trap using the Synchro. Again, we'll pop the Synchro, summon 2 from deck, summon back the banished CRYSTRON, inclusion, summon back a level 5. We're gonna make the infinity, we're gonna pop the Clockwork Knight with the Rosenix, and end on a pretty nice end board that also plays around Valor somewhat. Next we have the combo with 1 Sulfefnir and any CRYSTRON monster that we can normal summon. Again, we're using CRYSTRON for this example, but it could be anything that we can normal summon. We're gonna go and Sulfefnir summon the CRYSTRON from our deck. Unfortunately, this does lose to Valor, but we can still make the Dawn Dragster and inclusion grab the trap. And then Rosenix pop the inclusion for a Citri, inclusion, summon back a CRYSTRON, and that is still 4 interruptions, even though it does lose to Valor. It's like, this combo is not ideal, you would much rather start with, inclusion or Sulfefnir if you have them, but in situations where you don't have access to those better combos, this is still a combo that you can do. Okay, so those were the 1.5 card combos, as I like to call them. These are the actual 2 card combos. We have Sulfefnir and Sulfador, and same as in the Regulus version, there are 2 versions, one that plays better around Valor and one that plays better around Nib. So this is the one that plays better around Nib, because we're gonna make a very early infinity. So we're gonna go and make infinity, and then go ahead and make the Alice Skelters grab back the trap. We're gonna pop our Synchro, summon 2 tuners, Alice Skelters, summon the 3rd one, set the trap, and end our turn. This is the same starting hand, but this one plays around Valor a bit better, as I will explain. We're gonna go and summon the Smager from our deck, link it off for Clockwork Knight. And then we still haven't activated anything from our field, so there's nothing for Valor to negate just yet. And then now when we summon the Sulfador, this is when our opponent can Valor you. And like that's like the only place they can Valor you before you make your negate. So if this gets negated, you haven't used your normal summon yet, so you can just normal summon the turtle, pop the Link 1, get the CRYSTRON from the deck, and then that's full combo. If this resolves, you can send the Sulfefnir from the deck, and then you can revive it with a copy of Inclusion from the graveyard. Now that you have Infinity on your field, the Valor doesn't do anything. We're gonna do the turtle combo similarly to what we did in Regulus versions of the combo. And even without Regulus, we can still end on a pretty good end board with Citri, Quandax, Infinity, and a cluster. The Quandax can be CRYSTRON if you want, but I personally think that Quandax is a bit better. First of all, it's a CRYSTRON Synchro, so you can pop 2 cards with cluster at any point during your opponent's turn. You don't have to, make the Quarion Gandrax before you activate the cluster to pop 2. You can just activate this whenever you want to pop the 2. And also, Quandax lets you make Exile Synchro and then go for Satellite Warrior, which is 4 pops. You have 2 Synchros, the 2 CRYSTRONs, and then the 2 Stardust, so that's 4 pops. And that's really good, and also it gains a ton of attack and can attack for a lot of damage next turn. So yeah, that's I think this is worth going most of the time than trying to go for the other version of this combo, just because this plays around Valor a lot better, and Valor is a popular hand trap. So yeah, this is a combo using a copy of Sulfefnir and a copy of Smager. And this also plays around Valor somewhat, because we have the Smager in our graveyard. If our opponent negates the Sulfador again, you can banish the Smager, grab Inclusion search the copy of Tristaros, normal summon the Tristaros, and that's full combo. If it resolves, we're still gonna do the same thing, but we also have access to the trap. Instead of grabbing the Tristaros, if we get negated, we're just gonna grab a second copy of Sulfefnir, and then make an Infinity before we make any of our Synchro monsters. We go ahead and use the Synchro grab to grab back the trap, and then pop the Synchro using the Tristaros, summon a bunch of tuners, and end our turn with 2 Tristaros, 1 Citri, 1 Omnigate, and 1 Trap. In this combo we have Smiger and a Sulfador. It's less good than having Sulfefnir, but it's still better than just having the Smiger. I'm gonna go and grab the copy of Inclusion, and then we're gonna summon 2 Tristaros before we make the Synchro, so even if our opponent, you know, has a Nibiru, we have the Tristaros on our field at least, so if we have the Samurai Destroyer in our deck, we can make it and at least, you know, not lose completely. And then we can end our turn with Tristaros, Citri, the Infinity, and a Trap. We also have the Inclusion on our field, so if our opponent tries to threaten battle, they won't be able to destroy anything by battle because Inclusion will protect them. For our final 2 combos, we have Inclusion plus Sulfefnir or Sulfador, and we have 2 versions of this exact same opening hand. One, again, playing around Veiler, and one that doesn't. This one is the one that doesn't. We're gonna go and use Sulfador to send a Fistburn and a Smiger. Again, we're gonna make a super early Infinity, and then banish the Fistburn to normal summon the Tristaros, and then summoning a Sulfefnir by banishing the spell from our graveyard. We can go ahead and grab the Trap, and I'll turn with a bunch of tuners and the Trap and the Infinity on our field, plus a follow-up Fistburn that we can do whatever we want to during our next turn. This is our last combo. It's the exact same hand, but this time we will actually play around Veiler. This time we're not actually going to summon Smiger because we already have the Inclusion. We're gonna go and get Fistburn instead. And we're gonna summon the Sulfador. If our opponent Veilers now, we can use the Fistburn pop itself to grab the Tristaros from your deck, and then Synchro summon at level 7. And then that's full combo. And again, if it resolves, we're actually gonna send a copy of Rose Snakes and a Tristaros. And this is for a funny combo that I didn't do in any of the other combos I featured in this video. It's a funny thing that you can do with a Rose Next token. Anyway, we're gonna make early Infinity. We're gonna go and grab ourselves a token for the first time in the entire video, and then we're gonna link away that 1 token to make a Clockwork Knight, which can actually use the Rose Next token to make it. I'm gonna use the Clockwork Knight, tribute the Fistburn to summon the Tristaros that we sent from our deck using Sulfador. Now we can banish the Fistburn, grabbing ourselves a Sulfefnir, and notice that we haven't used our normal summon yet, so we can just normal summon the level 5 by tribute summoning it by using the Clockwork Knight as a tribute. And then the rest of the combo is pretty much, it's pretty straightforward. We're gonna go and banish the Smiger to grab ourselves the Trap, and this is a pretty respectable end board for a 2-card combo that plays around Veiler. So that's what, 1 Citri, 1 Tristaros, 1 Infinity, the Turtle is just chillin', doesn't really do anything, and Cluster is on our field as well. So yeah, that's it! So that's it for the video. Again, you can check everything out in my CRYSTRON website. I have all the combos listed out in my website as text form, so you know, if you want to revisit any of these combos, if you forget any of them, you can just read the stuff from my website. I have all of them in the combo section. You can find different versions of the deck by going into sample Decklist. We have Fiends with CRYSTRON, as I talked about in the previous CRYSTRON video. We just have like this random brew of level 7 monsters to make Draco Sack, which is full combo on its own. And we have both the pure version without Regulus and the pure version with Regulus. You know, check all of them out in the website. You can check out some general tips that I won't be going over in this video. Yeah, so take your time, and yeah, this deck is very fun. Learn about the interactions that this deck can do. Obviously, your combo lines will differ depending on what your opponent has and what they do to stop your combo, and that's, you know, what's so fun about this deck, I think. that your combos can deviate a lot depending on what your opponent is playing, and depending on what your opponent does to stop your combo. But anyway, that's it for today. I hope you learned something at least, and thanks for watching, and goodbye!